Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at this 2022 Ford Bronco Badlands with the Sasquatch package. Huge shout out to my friend Anderson for letting me check out his truck for the day. He just took delivery of this. Follow him on Instagram. I'll have that link down in the description. The Bronco that you see behind me is finished off in Area 51. They have a base starting MSRP right around $45,000. And underneath the hood of this Bronco is the 2.7 liter EcoBoost V6. It's paired to the 10-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 310 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque. That power sent to the rear wheels. However, this truck has the four-wheel drive system. It weighs in right around 5,300 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds with a top speed just over 130 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 20.8 gallons. You'll expect to see around 18 miles per gallon in the city and 20 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 116.1 inches. Its overall length is 189.4. It has a width of 86.2, a height of 73 inches. Its ground clearance measures in at 8.3 inches. And it also has an approach angle of 35.5 degrees, a breakover angle of 20 degrees. Its departure angle is 29.7 degrees, and it can also ford through 33.5 inches of water. And as we work our way to the exterior styling now for this Bronco, I've been able to check out a lot of Broncos, and I really love the design. It has that old school vibe to it, kind of a retro style, giving it a modern twist as well. We'll start off with the Bronco letters spelled out in white to match the original Bronco design. This truck also has the forward-facing camera, so that gives you a lot more visibility, especially when you're taking this off-road. I love the dark housing for the grille too, and all of the cutouts surrounding Bronco right in the middle gives it a cool look. This truck also has the LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals nicely incorporated in that grille, so you can see that it surrounds them on both sides. There's also a small cutout just underneath the grille, plenty of cutouts in the steel bumper too, along with all the parking sensors. There's some active grille shutters right in the middle, so those will open and close just to provide this with a little bit better aerodynamics. And as you can tell with the steel bumper, there's plenty of cutouts, which gives it this really good approach angle. And you have some screws on it too, so you could take this slightly apart if you needed a little bit more ground clearance. Now up on the hood, there's a nice bulge at the base of it, and then there's also these accessory points which have a mounting point at the top of the windshield. So if you remove that cover there, you can actually put some wires there, so if you're going off-road, branches and everything can hit those, and what it does is basically deflect them away from the paint. So it's nice that those are a factory option, so that's how the Bronco comes. The overall front end design just has a really good look in my opinion. Now as we work our way to the side for the Sasquatch package, it provides this with 35-inch tires with the 17-inch wheels. They have a two-tone design to them. They are beadlock ready. They have that bead-like design to them. And this also has the Bilstein suspension. You can get another look from the front end there. And we have the high clearance fender flares. So they stick out a good bit, especially with these 35s. And they give it a cool look. This also comes with these steel rock sliders, so when you're taking this off-road, you can have better protection up underneath the doors. Now the side mirrors are not body colored, but they do have a spotlight on them, and you'll notice too that they're actually attached to the base of the hood there. They're not actually on the doors. So when you open the doors, you'll see they will not move because you can actually remove the doors. If you're familiar with the Bronco, the doors come off, the roof comes off as well. There's a few different roof options. As you can tell, this is the 4-piece hardtop, and I like the rest of the design for the side. Not too many lines in the doors. There's a small one in the lower side skirt there, but I think it has a great design to it from the side. And then for the rear, massive spare tire with the backup camera right in the middle. This also has the third brake light just above that, and you can adjust this as needed. So if you go with larger tires, you can move that up and down. The wiper blade is nicely tucked away behind that. This also has LED taillights, the steel rear bumper with all the parking sensors, along with the single exit exhaust. And the Bronco can tow right around 3,500 pounds. Doesn't matter which engine you go with. That's about the maximum towing capacity for this SUV. So with that wrapped up, let's make our way to the rear cargo. So we have the swing gate basically in the rear. You can lock it and unlock it with this door handle, which is nice. And then with the strut on it, makes it pretty easy to open, even with that full-size spare. From there, we can manually open up the rear glass, and you have a good amount of space. This is an SUV, so it has a good flat surface to it with all the tie-down hooks. You'll notice the lassos are on all four of those there. There's a speaker over on the passenger side along with a 12 volt and some dome lights. You can even see that the roll cage here is body colored, which is pretty cool to see. Now the back seats also fold down, so if you need a little bit more practicality, you can fold those down and stuff in a lot larger items. And up underneath the floor, if you open this up, there's a little bit of space where this could act as a cooler. There's a drain plug there that you could remove, and then there's some toolkits if you need to change a spare, which is nice to have tucked away. And then to close this, we can manually do that along with the swing gate, and it easily closes there, which is nice. And this Bronco also has the remote start. So in order to activate that, we'll lock it, you'll hear it beep, and then double tap this button. It'll fire right up. Very cool feature to have. Now you can double tap that if you do need to shut it off for whatever reason, and then I'll unlock it from the key fob, and we can take a look at these back seats. Now the interior has a really nice grayish design to it, surrounding the brushed aluminum on the release handle. It's on the armrest as well as the grab handle, and there's a storage net down below where you could place some items if you need to. That's all you get on the doors because they are removable. And then on the interior of this model, this has the black leather with the orange stitching, matches all the other orange that you can see. Now this isn't a large SUV, but it is easy to get up into. There's also a grab handle for your backseat passengers. I'm 5'10". I do have plenty of space. There's also another net. There's also accessory points here where you could place some tools, anything that you may have. It's pretty cool to see that backing for these seats. Now right in the middle are the window controls along with some USB-Cs and a 3-prong outlet. And as far as headroom goes, I love for the Bronco, I have a good amount of space above my head. I also have the headrest that I can flip up there. You can flip them down if you need a little bit more visibility. But honestly, plenty of room for your backseat passengers. I love how much headroom there is. There's even some insulation on the inside of this hardtop just to make it a little bit quieter while you're driving this down the road. Now right in the middle, there's a small armrest with 2 cup holders in it, so you can use those as needed. And then you can get another look at visibility. It's pretty open with the amount of glass that is in this Bronco. So as we work our way to the front seats now, the door panels finished off just like the rear. However, the front doors have lock and unlock. That's about it. That's all that's different. A little bit larger of a storage bin down below. And then the same seats, of course, with the Bronco logo right in the middle there. More of that orange stitching. They are automatic seats. All of those adjustments are down on the side. Now you do get a grab handle for the front passengers. It's right on the side there, so that's pretty quick and easy to get to. And then looking at the steering wheel, it's completely covered in solid black leather. There's more of that brushed gray trim, which is a nice accent to see. Now let's fire this Bronco back up. With my foot on the brake, that button is over on this right side, and it almost mimics the headlight. So imagine the headlight and the DRL that you saw on the grill. Pretty cool design to see, but let's go ahead and bring this back to life. And looking at the gauge cluster, you'll see on the left side is the analog speedometer. What gear you're in is also in the lower section, just underneath the large LCD screen, where you can go through a lot more information using all of the controls on the right side of the steering wheel. You'll notice OK along with the arrows, there's tuning, even Bluetooth and voice commands. But as you can see right now, on the left side is the fuel gauge. There's also miles per hour and the tach. And then currently being shown on that right side is the fuel economy. And if I scroll down, there's trip information. If I do that one more time, there's the off-road settings. So you can look at your pitch and roll along with the degrees for the steering wheel. Even pull up the tire pressure to monitor along with some other vitals that you can go through. You can look at the turbo boost if you want to. And then you also have a configurable page. So you can set that up the way that you'd like to. And if I go to the main menu, my view is what we were just in. And then this is everything that I just went over, along with being able to look at the navigation so you can go through all that information. There's also phone and audio and different settings to go into. So on that first page that I showed, that is configurable, where you can show some more information if you need to. And that is pretty much it for the gauge cluster. Now over on this left side is all the cruise control settings, along with the adaptive cruise. There's volume for the radio, and then even the lane keeping assist. Now to the left of the steering wheel is all the headlight adjustments, along with the dimmer switches for the gauges, even the spotlights that I mentioned earlier for the side view cameras. The electronic parking brake is all the way at the bottom. There's one air vent nicely tucked away next to that grab handle. This also has the Bang & Olufsen sound system too. And then right in the middle, we have a few controls for these toggles. The one on the left side is for the sway bar disconnect. There's also the front and rear locker. We have the trail turn assist, which is pretty cool for off-roading. Basically, that makes your turning radius much tighter, which is awesome to have, especially if you're in narrow trails. There's traction control and then the hazards right next to that. And underneath that, this is the larger screen that is available. And currently you can see it's on settings right now. And then in the lower section is basically all of the presets. So there's audio, you can get to your phone, even pull up the navigation and full screen. There's different apps to go into like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, various settings that you can configure just like any other vehicle would have. There's the Amazon Alexa, Ford Assistant. You can go through the valet mode too. And then a few different features for the driver assistance along with the zone lighting. So basically you can turn on the headlights, the taillights, and even the spotlights on the side view mirrors all at once. So if you're using this at nighttime and you need some lights, it's pretty cool to have that. Now on the far right, as you've just seen, that hasn't changed. So it's nice that we have the split design so you can further go through all this information and still have that info over on the left side. You can monitor pretty much anything that you like on this side. And if I push on the Pages tab, it's just a different way to scroll through all this information even further. So it's pretty cool to have that design, very large screen. So it gives you some pretty good graphics, including the backup camera. So let's go ahead and put that into reverse so we can go through that camera system where you can see the backup camera along with the top-down view. And if I click on these arrows, there's a few different angles for that backup camera, even more of a wide angle there. And if I go back and push on this plus, there's a down-facing angle. So if you're backing up to a trailer or even just backing up in general, you can use that camera angle if you need to. Pretty cool to see that. Now in order to turn on the forward-facing camera, I'm gonna put this back into park, and then by pushing on this button here, you can see the forward-facing appear with the top-down view, and then it gets the same camera angles as you saw for the rear. So you have a lot of visibility around this entire vehicle. Pretty cool to see that. Now underneath that, you'll see power and volume for the radio. There's also the engine start-stop feature along with the parking sensors. Tuning and all the audio adjustments are just underneath that. And then there's all the physical buttons for the climates. This has a dual zone system. You'll see the temperature adjust on the upper screen. There's also fan speed. These are heated seats. This is even a heated steering wheel too. And then the recirc and some other buttons are just above that. It is laid out very, very well. Now underneath that, you'll see a little bit of storage along with some auxiliaries, so you can charge electronics if you need to. There's even a wireless charging pad at the very bottom. There's a Ford logo over on that right side, just to the left of a grab handle. So your passenger technically has two grab handles. If you're taking this off-road, you have a good spot to stay secure. Now for the shifter, again, it's finished off in leather. You already saw the pattern there. On this left side is plus and minus. So you can actually go into the manual setting and shift yourself if you need to. If you're taking this off-road or even towing, you can hold the gear, which is nice to have. Now there's two cup holders to the right of that. And then right in the middle for this rotary dial, this is not only how you can go through the four-wheel drive settings, you can also go through the G.O.A.T modes and then use the trail assistance basically, or the trail control, which is cruise control for going off-road, which is pretty cool to have. So by using that dial, we're gonna go to the center screen and we can shift going through the different driving modes. So you'll see there's normal, there's also eco, you can go to slippery, you'll see mud and ruts, also sand. The next one is Baja. And then we also have a rock crawl. So just depending on how you're using your Bronco, you can put it through the different driving modes. And it's pretty cool to see all those graphics change just depending on the mode that you're in. Now behind that, we have all the window controls, since obviously you can take the doors off. Pretty cool to see that, along with the side mirror adjustments. And the center armrest is lockable, so you can do that if you need to. You can see there's a little bit of storage, and then we have a lot more space for all the items that you need to place in there. And then over on the glove box, you have a lot more space for all that information, along with Bronco spelled out in the airbag cover. So that is a nice touch to see. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this has the hard top option. So all you need to do is release all of these along with this clamp here. You can easily remove the front two panels, which can be stored behind the back seats there. And then this entire rear section is one piece. And then you have the entire section for the cargo area. And then right up in the middle is all these auxiliary switches. So if you want to hook up compressors or any equipment that you may have, exterior lighting, things like that, you have a factory switch to hook them up to, and then the dome lights are just in front of that. Setting off behind the wheel now for this Ford Bronco. If you're new to our channel, we actually have a lot of seat time behind the wheel. for this Bronco. This isn't my first rodeo behind the Bronco, because we actually went to the Bronco Off-Rodeo event a few years back and got to take these off-road in their stock configuration. We were in pretty much this exact spec with the Sasquatch package, with all of these extra goodies up on the top. And honestly, this is one of the coolest SUVs if you're looking for something that has the potential to go off-road and take the doors off, take the roof off. It's another good option compared to the Jeep Wrangler. That was pretty much the only SUV where you could do things like that. And I think it's awesome that Ford brought the Bronco back to compete with the Wrangler. And not only that, now we have the Bronco Raptor R to compete with the 392 for the Wrangler, putting V8s and V6s, twin turbo V6s, V8s in both of these SUVs. So it's a pretty cool rivalry, just depending on what you like better. If you like a Wrangler better or you like a Bronco better. I owned a Wrangler, and honestly, if I was to go back, I'd get a Bronco. The Wrangler was cool, but I think the Bronco is a lot nicer in my opinion. A little bit more luxury feeling, if you want to call it that. It's still kind of like a basic SUV in a sense, but I like them. I think this is a really cool SUV. So like I said, I've had a lot of seat time behind the wheel. I haven't had a lot of seat time in a hardtop though. You can hear wind noise. I mean, you can hear wind noise in a Wrangler too. I had the hardtop for my Wrangler. It's a part of like that Jeep life. Now you have that Bronco life, right? So it's not something that, I mean, if you want a Bronco, it's not like you need to wear headphones or something. It's not loud, crazy, obnoxious. It's what you get. You can take everything off, which is of course cool. Can't really do that in any other SUV. So wind noise is not bad. You know, it's what you would expect for an SUV like this. But for the Bilstein setup that this truck has in the 35s, it rides so nice. We do have the independent front suspension, which is of course different than the Wrangler having a solid front axle. But this sway bar release that you have, that you can get on the model, is amazing. We use that off-road. You undo it, it has so much more travel, you lock it back and you can keep going, and it's amazing. It is pretty cool to have. It's definitely a must for an independent front suspension. This is pretty much as capable as a Wrangler. The only thing I will say with the front axle is that's a lot more rock crawling styling. So if you want to go be a true rock crawler, go with the Wrangler, go with the solid front axle, but this independent front suspension is very, very capable. So we'll do a slight acceleration in the Bronco. This is the larger of the engine options like I mentioned earlier. And even coming around a turn, sounds pretty good as well. This still gets up and moves. It's not a slow vehicle. It's not really performance oriented either, but it has some get up and go to it for this engine. So we'll give it a slight acceleration just to get back up to speed. And without even having to think about it, light on the accelerator, we're up to speed. So as performance goes, I would go with the larger option like this if you can't get the Bronco Raptor, which will have the V8. This is probably definitely the engine to go with. I feel like the 2.3 is a little bit underpowered for what it is, but if that's the engine that works with you, great. I feel like the 2.7 is probably the best and the most economical of the three. The 2.3 might be a little bit better, but this is kind of in the middle. And so for the POV angle, you can see what it's like to be behind the wheel. I love the massive screen. It gives you all the tech that you need. And it's super comfortable to drive. I could see getting a Bronco someday. Someday this would be a fun project to work on, to take off-road, to really see how much more capable you can get this SUV, because it's already very capable as it sits. You honestly don't really need to do anything to it aside from whatever accessories you may want to add. I've seen a few Broncos lifted even higher with 6-inch lifts, something of that size, and they look pretty sweet. Definitely would be a lot more capable, but I think that's going to wrap it up for this walk-around review and test drive for the 2022 Ford Bronco Badlands with the Sasquatch package. Once again, huge shout out to my friend Anderson for letting me check out his new toy. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. Handling is also pretty good for normal speeds here. And I will see you all in the next video.